Hi, this is Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology. Another tutorial. This tutorial is going to be three-dimensionally drawing a round diamond and then modeling it. It's going to be a quick video, guys. The video I was going to put up for you is an older video. I don't care for it. I'm doing things a little smoother now, so I'm going to take the time to do this, but it's awfully late. I'm going to move at a good clip, so please feel free to use your rewind and pause button. First thing I'm going to do is group my front view and put it on a different layer. When you draw three-dimensionally, you want to put all of your views where they go in relationship to each other around the center of the C-plane, or the center of world space, because the center of every C-plane, all of your three main C-planes, I should say, is 0, 0, 0. So we want to center all of our drawings around there. So I'm going to take this, enter, going to grab it from its girdle, because its girdle is its halfway point on the stone. Well, it's not mathematically halfway, but it's the divide between top and bottom, and so that's going to go to 0. Okay. I'm going to take the bottom view, group it, put it on a different layer, and I'm going to move it from its culet, which would be its center point, to 0. So all three views are now lined up in the center of the viewport. Okay, I can do away with these construction lines. Turn off the bottom view for now. I'm going to rotate this view, the front view, so that it rests on the front C-plane. I want it to sit on that front C-plane, so I want its point to drop down. The only view I can do that from, or C-plane I can do that from, is the right. I can see that I want to move this downward, and the only angle I can do that from is here, and still have a C-plane behind me. If I don't have the right C-plane, obviously I can't rotate it. If I have the front, obviously I can't rotate it down. I need to have a grid behind me to rotate, and that's what I want right there. Transform, rotate, 0, 90. Okay. I'm now going to move these facets into position three-dimensionally, so I'm going to move the table, use the end point of the table, its widest dimension, and put it up here on top of the stone. Okay, so have the table in position. Now I'm going to move my star facets up into position. I need to get them in the same elevation. I need to get the points of my flat drawing into the same position as the points in my front view. To do that, we're going to activate our vertical C-plane, which is front. We discussed this in class. I like to work with it horizontal and vertical C-plane. Horizontal's top, I use that 90% of the time. If I'm going to move up and down, I usually use front for vertical transforms. Occasionally I'll use the right C-plane like I just did to rotate because I need it to, but 90% of the time it's top or front. So I would need to move this up vertically. I'm going to project to C-plane my object snaps, and then I'm going to enter, move it from the end of this point to the point it corresponds to in the front view. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I can do it from any point, this point to the point it corresponds to, because that's the point of the star facet. That's the point of the star facet. I can move it from this end of this star facet to the star facet it represents in the front view. Any one of them will give me the same result if I use the project option. Okay? I'm going to turn that into a construction curve. Go back to top C-plane, drawing layer, curve tool, polyline, end, table, star, table, star, table, star, table, star. star, table, star, table, star, table. Okay. I have the points for my, I can throw this away now. I have the points for my bezel facets right here. So to draw this bezel facet, I'm going to use its point here in the flat drawing. I'm going to go from its hip at the point of the star down to its point on the girdle, hip, 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 girdle, hip. And I can throw that away. Last line for the crown is going to be the dividing line between the upper girdle facets. I'll draw one of those in three-dimensional space from the point of the star down to the girdle. These can now be thrown away. I'm going to take this three-dimensional curve, transform, polar array, center of the polar array is 0, number of items is 8, and there we go. Top view is complete. I can throw away the girdle now because the girdle repeats itself in my bottom view. Just like in the top view when I needed to bring down a reference geometry at the proper elevation, I need to do the same thing here. I'm going to grab all of my main facets. Now you may have a single curve that does this. That's fine. Whatever you have in your drawing that gives you this information right here. Okay? The hip of the main facets, or if you want to think of it as the point of the lower girdle facets, same location. That's its location on the bottom view. This is its location in the front view. Activate front C-plane, project on my object snap, enter from here to here. And you can see that that is in the accurate position. Turn that into a construction curve, and then draw my main facet lines. Got to turn off project or they'll all be flat on the front view, front C-plane. So remember, these line up right below your bezel facets, but I'm actually going to just draw back and forth and draw the lower mains first. In class I did it the other way. Either way works. You can decide whether you're drawing the mains or the lower girdle facets. You're really drawing either one because they share the same boundary. And then the last curve I need to do is the line from the lower girdle facet, not the second to the last line curve. You need to draw two. I'm going to draw the dividing line for the lower girdle facet, and I'm going to continue and make a second line from the point of the lower girdle facets down to the Q loop. You can delete those lines. Select both of these two that I drew, top C-plane, transform, polar array, center of array is 0, 8 items, 360, enter to accept. Put this on the drawing layer and delete these remaining lines from the bottom view. The flat ones, we don't need them anymore. And I do not need my front view. we're going to facet the stone. Okay, to facet the stone, we need to do the faceting for the bezel facets and the main facets first. So, need to draw a line that I'm going to extrude to make that that bezel facet. Here to here, there's my bezel facet. You want to pick one of the ones on the 4 quadrants, either left or right or up and down. Following the video, let's do it on the left side here. From the top of the bezel facet to the bottom. Going to activate my front C-plane, because as you'll recall, extrusions run perpendicular to their C-plane, to the current C-plane. Activate the surface tab, extrude straight. I'm just going to pull out so it's larger than the surface, than the facet here. Get it out, because that would be just exactly. I want to go a little bit beyond that. Okay. I'm going to turn on shade, which I can also get here. I use Control-Alt-S, which is the Rhino shortcut. I can delete that curve. Top C-plane, transform, array, polar, 0 is the starting point, 8 items. Turn off my drawing for a minute, select all of these, trim command, and I'm going to clip off anything that sticks out extra. Oh, must have hit a split instead there. Notice how I keep rotating the model so I can see what it is I want to click. Okay, that's done. Join those together. Turn that layer off. Bring back my drawing. Once again on the left side, I'm going to draw a straight line down my main facet. From that point down to the culet. I'm going to extrude that straight. Once again, activate front C-plane, surface tab, extrude straight, pull it just a little wider than the facet, click. Top C-plane, transform array, polar, 0 enter, 8 items, done. Can throw this curve away. Select all of those, hit trim. And the same idea, come down here and any of these little points that extend. Clicking on anything that sticks out right now, it's kind of a messy way to go about it, but it works. I don't even have to rotate my model. Just keep clicking on things that stand out beyond a nice tapered cone. When I think I've got most of it, I'll zoom out and take a look. Move to a different view where I can see them. Click on some more. Looks like I've got a couple more left. Looks good. Turn. Join. Okay, so I now have my pavilion and my crown. The basic facets. Okay. Turn off the crown, the pavilion. Going to select these curves, the star curves, star facet, trim. Cutting those bezel planes out of the way. And I'll go ahead and delete that curve. Select this curve, do the same thing. Turn off the bezels. Now I'm going to turn on the mains. Select this curve. And I was concerned about this. I noticed that as I drew my facets, there were points where my drawing disappeared. It shouldn't do that. And it's doing that because I have an inaccurate drawing right there. Okay? Fortunately, that's not going to be... See that kink? I don't know how I did that when I drew it, but I can't leave it, so I make mistakes too. But I'll just redraw. And Now you can delete that original curve. This should work better. Trim. Yes. Your drawing probably didn't have that flaw, so you didn't have to do what I just had to do. Delete that curve. So I've got my mains and my bezels. Need to do the rest of the facets. I'm going to create the table with a planar facet. Planar surface, so surface tab. Surface and planar curve looks like a little donut. And I'm going to do the same thing for the girdle, just because for the next part that I'm surfacing, the surface edges are going to be more useful than that curve. Okay. I'll actually put this on the same color as the pavilion and then turn it off for a minute. I'm going to do my star facets, planar surface. Remember, any straight three sides that touch are planar surface, so edge, 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 edge. Now mind you, I could have created one of these and just arrayed it around. There. Join these together. Almost finished with the crown. Come in and do one set of upper girdle facets. Planar surface again, edge, no, edge, edge, curve, edge, edge, curve. Join these together. And then polar array. 0, 8 objects, enter. Join these together. Okay, now I'm going to facet the upper girdle facets. Surface, I should say. So I'll go ahead and turn that off. By the way, I don't need those upper girdle dividing lines anymore, so I'll clean the drawing. Okay, so I'll just do one set of these. Surface, planar, edge, edge, curve, edge, edge, curve, join, polar array, 0, enter, 8, done. I can throw that away now. Join, okay, I don't need any of the curves anymore, throw those away. There's my pavilion, there's my crown, join the two together, and I have a closed poly surface right here. Okay, I need to brute the girdle to make it an actual 10mm smooth round edge. So I'm going to draw a circle. Center radius, 0 is the starting point. Diameter, make sure it has diameter, is 10. Top view, zoom in, select my stone, transform scale, origin point is 0, then it wants 2 clicks. First click for how big it is now, second click for how big I want it to be. Click 1 can be anywhere. Click 2, I'm going to pull it out until my stone is just slightly larger than the circle. Back into perspective viewport, I'm going to extrude, surface, extrude straight, both sides. So if yours doesn't do that, doesn't have both sides, click on the both sides option. Just make it taller than the stone. We're going to use this to Boolean to maintain a solid object while it cuts away the trim, that fringe of faceting. To do that, we have to check the direction of the surface, because if it's not a solid, Rhino doesn't know which side is out. So we're going to check analyze direction. Okay, Rhino thinks that this is the outside, which is fine, but we need to point those arrows towards what we want to keep. If I do a Boolean difference right now without changing that direction, solid difference, that's what I'll get. It'll keep the little trim on the outside, beautiful little solid object, but I'll lose my stone. So I need to turn the arrows the other way. Analyze direction, I'm going to flip those arrows, enter when done. Go into difference, solid difference. Select surface to subtract with, cylinder, enter when done. And there's your nice smooth girdle. Throw away the curve, and your homework is finished. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.